Hey everybody, it's Paul Casey Healing Nuts. Welcome back to my channel. Sorry it's been a while, but you know how things go. So anyway, I'm back here with a new thing I'm going to call Tarot Tuesdays. It's probably not new, but it's new to me. And I think it's going to be like Taco Tuesdays, but just less fun, and less tacos. Or maybe more fun. I don't know. So what we're going to do today, we're going to look into the ACEs. Okay, so what I like to do with my students in tarot classes is to take a number in the suits and look at each card in that suit and compare them. I teach intuitive tarot, so it's not just based on the traditional readings, so you read intuitively. One of the most beautiful ways to read a card, and one of the most honest ways, is to see how it interacts with the question that was asked of it, for the spread, how it interacts with the other cards in the spread. And another good way is to see the differences between that and, other cards. So when I look at the cards between like today we're going to do the aces with the cups, swords, pentacles, wands, and you get to see the differences and how they are subtle. So that will kind of reinforce the similarities or really help you find out how to read them in certain situations. So we're going to go through the aces today briefly. I'm not going to do the whole thing. We're going to just do the uprights to get you started. But if you like it and you're interested, this is something I do with my students. Intuitive Tarot, I teach at the Ivy League Psychic Academy. I'm wearing the t-shirt here. And we also train in psychic mediumship. So I was trained in that before tarot. So we get more in-depth readings. We channel spirit. So it can go a little bit more dynamic than just traditional card reading. And that's why we're here. So without further ado, let's look at some cards. Okay, so over here we have all four of the aces. And we have the Ace of Cups, the Ace of Pentacles, the Ace of Swords, and the Ace of Wands, okay? And aces are basically the ones, okay? So the suits go from 1 to 10. And one of the big things about aces is reading them as the 1 in the suit, okay? So 10 is the culmination of the suit. So when you get to the cups, it's like the most emotional and the most loving, and anything that you are associating with cups, it's like the peak. So the aces is like the minor league, it's the start. So oftentimes they're seen as new beginnings. So in the case of cups, it could be a new relationship. This could be new love. It's new creative offerings. It's anything, again, that you associate with cups is the start of. So when you get it in a spread, it's not automatically like, oh, this is something brand new coming your way. It could reflect something that has been underway, but is still in the infancy, so to speak. Think of it like pages. Aces and pages are very similar, and that they're new, and there's new opportunities, new offerings. But with the pages, it's higher up, I feel, since it is in the court cards. I feel like if you were looking like regular cards here, you go from 10 to Jack. Okay, so this is, then they're like suited cards, so it's worth a little more. So it's higher up and a little bit more prescient for the reader, And to go even one higher, let's look at something like the Fool, which is another new beginning card, but that's a major. So if you have these three tiers of new beginnings, aces, you can see, are pretty minor, but they still signify really good things. Okay, so don't let that sway you or poo-poo their meaning at all. They're just a lot lighter. All right, and then there's the Ace of Pentacles, and this is usually about new opportunities for work, money, things like that. New ventures, really. Then we have the Ace of Swords, okay? And this is really like new ideas and actions, because swords are like actions, and mental clarity. So like you could have, again, connected to the ideas. But I also feel that this is something like communication too. So, new communication channels opening. So this could be like connections even. It all depends on how it plays out, obviously. But this could be meaning a new relationship as well, but maybe professional relationship. Okay, then we have the Ace of Wands, and this one's great. I love wands. This is all about saying new inspirations, new ideas, like the swords would have. But I feel that this is more like passionate ideas, like like, oh, I got this new painting I want to do, instead of, oh, I got this idea for a shelf to put in my office. But ACES, new things, new inspirations, and passions, I feel. One of the ads I did for my intuitive tarot class, I like to do them like art, because I like to really look at it as artwork, and that would be how we read them. I'd like to read them that way. And so it's a picture frame at a museum gallery with the Ace of Wands in it, because to me this is like, all right, this is where you're starting this new, hopefully passionate to you journey. But you know, the people that come in do want to read, and they do want to learn, and they want to know more than just what the cards say, because anybody could just print out definitions and read them off, and then, you know, you're really stripping the cards and spirit of the message at that point, right? Just to read dusty old words. But speaking of words, I do like to say that since we're channeling spirit, when we read intuitively here at the Ivy League Academy, you know, what we say comes out, and the cards are just the words that you know, like the letters to spell it out. Okay, so we're dictating, and then the cards, you know, are like the stenographer to court. So you know, there is some positive aspect to when I'm calling them words, because I do think words have a lot of power. But I do feel that breaking from tradition and breaking from someone saying what this should mean into what you feel it means is the real key. Okay, because otherwise it is never going to change, it's never going to evolve, and you'll look at it once and it's the same as when you look at it the millionth time. Whereas when you read it intuitively, you can pick up a new flavor to it each reading. Even sometimes in the reading, you look at it when at the start of the spread, and then towards the end you have a completely different take on it, and then that card is never going to be the same. You know, so we're starting here with the Aces on fairly traditional ground, but hopefully this will help you expand your readings of them. Let's take a look here at some similarities. Okay, so if we were going to talk about similarities and differences of ways that you would look at these cards and say, you know, how do they differ, and how can I really fine-tune what they mean to me and to the reader, to the sitter, to the person you're reading. So let's look at one commonality I think that is very important here, is that the hand. All right, so this hand coming out of a cloud that gives you this kind of divine feeling to it, okay? And there's the stark white hand, you know, that's like white light, purity, things like that, and it's offering these gifts, okay? Not unlike the hand coming out of the cloud in the Four of Cups, but this seems to be bigger and a little bit more of a spectacle, okay? Like it's birthing from this cloud. So what I wanted to point out here is that it's always the right hand, okay? And the right hand is your power outside. So this is showing the power coming out, okay, and being bestowed to you. And one can look at to the amount of clouds, you know, if you'd like, you know, and the type. Say, look at the difference between the clouds on cups versus swords. You know, there's a lot more frantic action happening in this cloud that is with the swords than in the cups. Okay, so there is a little bit more activity. Okay, so you'll start to look at things like that. And another thing that I want to point out too is that similar, the swords, the cups, and the wands all have something either falling or in motion from them. Like the wands, you have leaves, they're water droplets of sorts in the cups, and not wicked sure what's falling on the swords, but you know, maybe it's just radness. But it's all there, and it's all showing that there is a bit of I would say somewhat speed, and you could kind of relate it to where they are, I suppose, in relation to the hand. however you're feeling it that day. And I say speed because I don't see anything on the pentacles other than just the shine of the hand, and the pentacles are notoriously slow. So, give that one time. So let's take a closer look here at the Ace of Cups. Now, the first thing that stands out, obviously, is it's like super religious looking, and very, it feels very spiritually connected, okay, with like the bird, the Eucharist, this overflowing cup, and all connected to this hand, okay? And so you think about the flow of this, and I feel that this one works in tune with the person who's sitting, the sitter's energy here. So, and doesn't always have to be something brand new, like we're saying, oh, new relationship. This is like them maybe just discovering, like their flow is kicking in, and their new relationship with themselves, new love for themselves. But think of the flow, okay? This looks like one of them fake fountains where one of these, oh, they're over here. One of the tubes, one of the sprouts is the tube up, and it's just kind of regenerating, okay? This is important to keep in mind when you read the reverse, which I said we're not getting into today. You can take my class. Do that. So check that out, right? It's all about flow, okay? And then if we go to Pentacles, which has a different feel to it, it's just static. He's just holding this, all right? And so there's a little bit less motion, like which we already talked about. But this is Pentacles. It's the opportunity here. It's like a gold coin, okay? And it's above this field, and fields and grass and gardens here. This garden is prosperity, okay? So this is really like the open door to it. Like here's where you sit, and prosperity's ahead. So check it out. Like he's giving you the key. So there's a very cool thing here, but it's very different, I feel, than the internal action that is in the card in front of it, the cups. Okay, so then we have the Ace of Swords, and as you can see, the sword is going up through a crown, and the crown is the crown, your crown chakra. So this is really showing the action, like swords as action, going up through from the hand to the head. So it's like really doing it, okay? And there's the connection between being able to think of something and then being able to do it, okay? And this is not just ideas, like wands will be good ideas, and something along those lines, where this would be like, all right, let's do this, I have a plan. And also with that too, the wreaths coming down, which are similar to like the laurel wreath, which you'd see in the Six of Wands, for triumphs, victories, ancient Rome, things like that. So I think those are related to that, and it's showing that, I feel that there's the base. This is the ace of base, at the sword all the way up, which will be your 10. So this is how you would culminate. Then we have the Ace of Wands, which is very similar in design, I feel, to the Ace of Swords. Okay, they look very similar, but I do feel that wands and swords have a similar vibe anyway, okay? Whereas swords are this kind of idea and action plan. Wands are ideas and action in like a thought. So if you're going to use a sword to cut down a tree, this would be, using your mind to cut it down, I guess. I don't know. But there's a similar vibe there. And this shows them how close they are in form and function, especially with the straightness. Okay, so look at how they're laid out. Okay, so for the differences here, I've already mentioned a few differences that are just in the feeling of them, and things that are some subtle designs, clouds or where the leaves fall or things like that. This I would feel is more to you, okay? I would leave this on your end, is what do you feel, okay, is one of the biggest differences between each one. Now, would it be like how the swords and pentacles come in from one side and cups and wands come in from another? It's like masculine, feminine thing, even though they're all the right hand. In the way that they are in different directions, would you read that differently based on how it's placed next to another card, okay? If it's going away from that card with the device, the suit, whatever it is, or if it's going towards, would you read that differently? Is it a little bit more subtle of an interaction if it's going away? Things like that to think about. Look at the design of it, where it sits and where it stays. and how that would go. So when you look at all four of these together, if you were to place them in a hierarchy, which one do you feel is the strongest? I mean, they're all aces and they're all equal, but would one of them stand out more to you and one of them kind of be like, I'm not feeling it? I certainly feel that the Ace of Pentacles has less dynamicness to it, despite, in comparison to the other three, but on its own, that's a really, really strong card. So you got to look into how they go from being on their own into working with others, because everything needs context. You could read a card, if someone got a one card reading, I often do those, you could read it in its situation there, but it still needs the context of the question. Otherwise, like we had talked about before, it's just words and it's just a static definition, and we want dynamic. Okay, so we want this to move, we want it to flow, and we want it to be very personal, and not only to you giving the information from spirit, but also to the sitter. More importantly, this needs to resonate with them. But if it speaks to you, it's meant to. So say it and use that as the rationale behind your reading. So this was quick. Again, we're only doing the uprights, but hopefully you enjoyed it, and hopefully it taught you a little bit and to look at things differently here. Look at all parts of the design, mountains, anything in the foreground, anything in the background. Check it out, see what speaks to you. If you're interested in taking the class, it's Intuitive Tarot, and you can get that at ivyleaguepsychicacademy.com. Again, I'm Paul Casey, Healing Arts. If you're interested in psychic mediumship, which I highly recommend that also, ivyleaguepsychicacademy.com. We have a new session starting in February 16th, so you can register for that now. It's the spring semester. It's going to be great. And if you're interested in the reading, my information is below, paulcaseyhealingarts.com. I'll be doing this every Tuesday, so I'll see you next week.